Arizona News Radio. A portion of downtown Globe was evacuated today. This after an old substance found in a building that was being renovated. Reporter Sean Cram from affiliate KRDE.
Old bottles of picric acid, a potentially volatile Class A explosive, were found in the basement of an empty building on Broad Street while the owner was clearing debris.
Teachers calling for higher pay during a picket at the state capitol today.
It's paycheck to paycheck. You can save what you can, but with all the health insurance that gets out of our paycheck, all the supplies that go into the classroom, the snacks for the kids, it's paycheck to paycheck.
State Supreme Court says voters will have the final say on Prop 305, a measure whether there should be an expanded school voucher program.
We are ecstatic that the Supreme Court upheld the lower court's ruling. We knew from day one that we played by all the rules and did everything right.
George Tanner, Arizona News.
It's time for your 1100 KFNX traffic report, brought to you by UA Online. In Tempe, there's an accident off the ramp of Loop 202 eastbound at Scottsdale Road. And in Phoenix, there's an accident off right at Loop 202 westbound at 24th Street. A brighter future is just a few clicks away with UA Online, the University of Arizona's new digital campus. Classes start every 7.5 weeks. Visit uaonline.arizona.edu.
From the KFNX WeatherBug Weather Center, as we head into the evening under mostly cloudy skies, the low tonight 62. Thursday, mostly cloudy and breezy, high near 91. Cloudy Thursday night, a chance of showers, overnight low 64. I'm Scott Allen Fortney from the KFNX WeatherBug Weather Center.
Currently, in downtown Phoenix, it's 82 degrees.
Next news in 30 minutes or when it breaks, here on Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX.
There's still time to save at Nissan now. Don't miss out on big savings on our entire lineup, featuring Rogue with available Nissan intelligent mobility technologies like ProPilot Assist that helps keep you centered in your lane, and Titan, backed by America's best bumper-to-bumper limited truck warranty. The technology of tomorrow is available today at the Nissan Now sales event. Save up to $11,637 on Titan XD, or get the 2018 Frontier starting at $18,990. It's time for an upgrade. Get to Nissan now. Time is running out. These great offers won't last. Shop ChooseNissan.com and your local Nissan dealer today. For well-qualified buyers, 2017 Titan XD, 8,500 cash back, 1,760 Platinum Reserve Bed Utility Package savings, and 1,377 average dealer discount. 2018 Frontier excludes tax, title, license, and destination charge. Dealer says actual price. Take delivery from new dealer stock. ProPilot Assist is an available feature and cannot prevent collisions. Always monitor traffic conditions. Keep both hands on the steering wheel. See owner's manual for safety information. Call 1-888-858-8319 for offer details and limited truck warranty information. Ends 4/2/18.
Live from the Midtown studios of KFNX, it's time for the Wellness Roundtable radio show, sponsored by Atrix.com. Now, here's your hosts, Dr. Spear and Dr. Weiss.
Hello, and welcome to the Wellness Roundtable radio show. I'm Dr. David Spear, along with my co-host, Dr. Scott Weiss, out in snowy New York. How are we doing, Scott, today?
Dave, once again, I feel like every time I speak to you, we're having a snowstorm here in New York.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is the last one.
Already, right?
This is going to be the last one. I'm sure of it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what they said last week.
But I hope you're staying warm. And we have a really cool show today. We're going to talk just about a current event, you know, kind of banter back and forth a little bit just for a moment. And then we're going to be talking about behavior change today. And we have a doctor from Boise State University. So I'm really excited to bring him on. But one thing I wanted to bring up, Scott, interestingly enough, I was at a meeting a couple of days ago, and there was a sort of a wellness provider at that meeting who specialized in mindfulness.
Sure.
But what I found to be really interesting is she also does research here at ASU, and some of the research was focused on levels of oxytocin in response to mindfulness. So what they have found is that exercise similar to Tai Chi, things that involve mind and body a little bit more than just, you know, kind of going to the gym, seem to have a positive effect on oxytocin, kind of that love drug, right, that a mom might experience with a baby. But now what they're doing is they're looking at oxytocin levels in response to like one session, so 1 hour, and increasing levels of oxytocin. I found that kind of interesting. They didn't look at cortisol, however. They didn't look at stress hormone, but they did look at the quote-unquote love hormone. What do you think of that?
I don't have too much, too strong of a background, Dave, with a lot of those, chemical compounds being more, I'd say, so to say, more medically oriented. But, what I do know is that, if you're getting oxytocin, from, so to say, looking at your loved ones, even they say looking at your dog can create that.
Right,
if
right.
exercise now can create that, just another positive hormone, just another positive chemical in the body that gets produced. And, I think that people should know that exercise is just another reason why exercise is just amazing for you.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And, because we're going to be talking about behavior change today, it kind of rationalizes why you may want to change your behavior, right? There are so many reasons why. You mentioned several of them. Another is changing the chemical, composition of your body and of what you experience. Yeah.
So, that's why I was excited to hear, today's guest, because they say really just the thoughts that you have can change the chemical composition of your body, and that's extremely empowering for not only exercisers, for people that are injured, and for patients and, exercisers all over the world.
Absolutely, I agree. I would like to welcome our Facebook friends. We're on Facebook Live, and also want to let people know if you want to call in and join in on the conversation, give us a call at 602-277-5369 or toll free at 1-866-536-1100. So I'd like to introduce our guest today, Dr. James Bocheman. He's an assistant professor in the School of Social Work at Boise State University and received his Ph.D. from Ohio State University and MSW from the University of Vermont. His research interests include wellness promotion, integrated mind-body-spirit intervention, solution-focused brief therapy, and mental health. He's a licensed clinical social worker and certified health coach, and his expertise in health-related behavior change has led to opportunities such as serving as a subject matter expert for the American Council on Exercise and also providing wellness-focused training for the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA. So that sounds really, really amazing. Dr. Bocheman, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you having me on. Can you hear me okay?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, you sound great.
Crystal clear. So we were just talking in this sort of current event segment about how we can change the chemical composition of our bodies just by really practicing wellness in a sense, right? So, we were talking about mindfulness. We were talking about meditation, but sort of changing the chemical composition of our bodies through that. And even in an acute way as well as in a chronic sense. And so what do you think about that? Is it, are you familiar with any of the research that's kind of looked at that, or do you have an opinion on that?
Well, I love the fact that you guys opened with that, because as someone who practices mindfulness and has been practicing for, gosh, I don't know. Sometimes students ask how long I've been practicing, and I think it's well over 20 years. I probably should be levitating at this point. But just the immediate effects of it, whether it's a chemical compound or behavioral, are pretty amazing. And to me, it really speaks to, the subjectivity of wellness. And it doesn't have to be, me prescribing this number of minutes per week of exercise, or it's really what makes you feel well, and that's a really individual thing. Mindfulness certainly is sort of the term du jour as far as research goes.
Right.
So that doesn't surprise me in the least, honestly, to hear about the oxytocin levels.
Okay.
What's great is, we have so many experts from so many different fields, but I think this angle, of social work or in psychology and is such an interesting factor that so many of our listeners want to hear, because we're always prescribing, like you said, how much exercise to do, what frequency, what intensity, duration, but really to hear things that you can do, not in a session, but throughout the day, I think is vital.
Yeah,
yes,
absolutely. So based on what Scott was saying, what are some of the approaches that you use to sort of get your clients to change their behavior?
Well, one of my research angles is the solution-focused approach. Are you guys familiar with solution-focused brief therapy or coaching?
Not really.
I'm not. No.
it's really fascinating and just beautiful in its simplicity, honestly. It's very client-driven and strengths-focused. So, when I explain it to people, I sort of think of it as, I'm asking these questions, and it's not my job to be the expert on any individual's life. It is my job to be the expert on the dialogue that we're having here. And just by asking these questions, clients start to paint you this really amazing picture of what their ideal state of wellness is. And that's great because, we could get into intrinsic and extrinsic motivation and all the stuff that goes into that. But ultimately, if they can tell you, here's where I want to go, here's where I know I would feel wonderful, fantastic, then the rest is easy. So this solution-focused approach to me is beautiful. A lot of times people, you mentioned solution-focused brief therapy, they think, oh, the miracle question. That's sort of what it's known for, and all that is, in simplest terms, if we're looking at physical wellness, let's say, then I would simply ask and say, look, I just want you to imagine for a second that it's been a really long day today, and you finally hit the sack tonight. Your head hits the pillow, and you're exhausted, and you're out. You fall sound asleep.
Right.
Sometime during the night, this miracle happens, and you become totally physically well. And you don't know that happened, though, because you were asleep. So when you wake up in the morning totally physically well, what's the first thing you would notice is different? And if I run into you at the coffee shop, what would I notice is different about you? And sure enough, people start to paint you this picture of here's my optimal state. And once we have that, then the rest is easy, right? Because, then it's like, okay, well, that's your 10.
Right.
Where would you say you're at right now?
Right.
Well, maybe I'm at a 4. Okay. And you can imagine, goals start to create themselves. Well, what might help you move from a 4 to, let's just say, a 5?
Right.
What are some things you could do? So to me, it's just so simplistic and so beautiful that it allows the client to really drive this thing.
That's so interesting. So it's based on the client's perspective, where they are at the moment, where they would like to be, and then you use the tools that you have to sort of get them there. We're
Absolutely.
Yeah, yep. We're gonna continue the conversation and talk a little bit about. So you're coming from a social work standpoint and more of a psychological standpoint. We're going to be talking a little bit about how you might recommend trainers and coaches be facilitators of change. So
that sounds great.
We'll be right back with the Wellness Roundtable Radio Show and Dr. James Coachman. Do you suffer from foot pain? Let Aetrex help alleviate some of that pain with a pair of Aetrex orthotics. Millions of pairs have been sold to those in need of fast relief from foot pain. Aetrex offers a wide selection of orthotics designed for each arch type and footwear style. Visit Aetrex.com. That's AETREX.com and get your pair today. Again, that's AETREX.com.
Don't we all have questions about our health, fitness, or even injuries? Now there's a place to go, and it's online at wellnessroundtable.com. WellnessRoundtable.com is an online interactive video platform that allows the best experts in the world to share their knowledge with you. Through creating a roundtable or attending a lecture, you are bound to realize the value of having evidence-based information live and in the comfort of your own home. Check them out at wellnessroundtable.com and get some real answers. Use the promo code 1100 to get a 20% discount.
Her smile, it was one of those things that makes you feel like you're the best man that walks the face of the earth. To wake up and find my fiance dead from an overdose of prescribed pain medication makes you realize that this is something that can happen to anybody. And it has been a horrific, tragic event that I've had to live day in and day out in the same bed that it occurred. Learn more at rethinkrxabuse.org.
Sponsored by the Governor's Office of Youth, Faith, and Family and Crossroads in cooperation with Arizona Broadcasters Association and the station.
The Del Walmsley Show, weekdays at 2 p.m.
Why
do I bother? Because what I want you to understand is you can do something about your situation, where you are, what you can do, how you can isolate and insulate yourself from all of this political and financial garbage that goes on out there.
The Del Walmsley Show, weekdays at 2 p.m. Everything you need to know about finance and real estate. For more information, mypassiveincomesystem.com. mypassiveincomesystem.com.
Join the Arizona Chamber of Commerce and Industry for the second annual Arizona Tech Innovation Summit on Thursday, March 22nd at the Canby Hotel, 2401 East Camelback Road in Phoenix. Registration begins at 11 a.m. with lunch, keynote speaker, and panel discussion at 11:30 a.m. The summit will be joined by leaders from companies such as Greylock Partners, Mayo Clinic, Zeal Capital, Nikola Motor, Shasta Ventures, Affirm, Vector Space, Sci-Fi VC, Zendesk, Blue Bottle, and many more. For more information and to register, visit aztechsummit.com. That's aztechsummit.com.
Atrix is one of the fastest growing companies in the footwear industry and is widely recognized as a global leader in comfort and wellness footwear products. The Atrix mission is to create the healthiest shoe on the market today with fashion, function, and quality at the forefront. Atrix designs and manufactures most types of footwear for both men and women. All styles are crafted with care to meet the highest standards in design, incorporate cutting-edge technologies, and offer unmatched customization and adjustability. To learn how Atrix can help you with your feet, go to aetrex.com. That's atrix.com.
All right, we're back with the Wellness Roundtable radio show. We're talking with Dr. James Buchman from the School of Social Work at Boise State University, and we're talking about behavior change. And we sort of just left off on, you were talking about delving into a client's perspective as to where they are in terms of their change, let's say. Are they willing to change? And where do they want to see themselves? And then how you work toward that. So the question is, you're coming from a real scientific and sort of psychological standpoint. How do you then train trainers or coaches to speak to clients and have them sort of realize the same thing?
Yeah, great question. Honestly, I think there's a few things that I would recommend, and some of it just seems so remedial that it seems absurd, but I think the biggest thing I would recommend to trainers or coaches is listen. Okay. Just listen. Stop with all the advice giving. There's plenty of time for that. But really listening and asking questions and finding, I want to know what the client thinks, what they're interested in, what motivates them. Why are they talking to me right now? Like creating a context to figure out why does this change need to happen? I think really listening and developing those listening skills is so critical. And, as we know, and granted, I'll own my psychological lens here that I'm looking through, but all the research around, like, doing counseling or coaching work indicates that rapport, that trusting relationship, accounts for, like, 80% of the change that happens. So that relationship is so key, and I think a key to developing that relationship is really listening and just asking questions rather than getting into prescription mode. I mean, certainly that's important, right? We don't want to, I'm not trying to minimize anyone's expertise.
Sure.
But it's the timing of that and how you use that and be collaborative with the clients.
Scott, what do you seem to think about that in terms of your clients and your practice?
Well, it is vitally important, to really listen. I mean, I think, as Dr. Buchman was saying, that there's, we're so adamant about, deriving a prescription for somebody, but we can really make the prescription a lot more specific by really listening to what the patient needs. And they do tell you in multiple ways, and that's the thing, is that if your ear is there, they'll tell you what they need to do and what's thwarting them from really getting their goals. So I think listening is vitally important. And you're right, by listening, sometimes in the world of physical therapy and athletic training, we say you can get most of your information from just the history and understanding the mechanisms of what's going on. So I do believe in a lot of that, 100%.
But Dr. Buchman, can you also use sort of visual cues? So you can listen, right, and you can hear what people say, but a lot of what they say with their body, they say with the way that they present themselves, and that can sometimes be contradictory to what they're saying. Is there something there that you use as well in terms of where they are with, in terms of their behavior change and where they want to go?
Oh, absolutely. And I think you nailed it that, I guess when I say listen, I should say more pay attention, because as we know that, what is it? I don't even know what percentage of communication happens through nonverbal, right? It's all that body language. And you can tell when someone's open to the idea, or, you can tell when someone's truly attending to you, when they're really listening to you and they're making that eye contact. And you can also tell when someone's uncomfortable.
Right.
It's funny, in class just yesterday, I had some students do an exercise where they had to do an introductory counseling session just around stress management, and I made them do it with their eyes closed. And it was such a different experience because you can't read any of those cues, and you can't. So there's so much there to pay attention to. But I think you're absolutely right. That people will tell you in one way or another their comfort level, and I think checking in with them and making sure you understand. And here's what I'm noticing about this conversation, being that transparent is.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm
I
sorry.
was going to say, Dr. Boschman, not to get into too deep, but while you're talking to people, that nonverbal communication that you're talking about is really getting lost through technology. And this is, I'm sure, information for a whole nother show. But even just all of us talking right now, without seeing each other and just relying on what we know, I could imagine that the input that we get is not full, so to say. It's not the total package of our communication unless you're really, one-on-one in front of each other.
You're right, and I think that is a conversation, whether on the show or not, I would love to have.
Right.
I think it's, in education, teaching, higher education, it's all going online now, and there's so much that's missing. And I know myself, for having taught online courses, a lot of times I'll record videos of myself doing something that I could easily do in an email. And it's my own, it's for my own benefit because I miss that piece of it.
Sure.
I think we're in a different world now.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a different relationship that you have with a student or with an audience when you're in front of them versus when you're online. There's no doubt. And I currently teach some online courses, so I do hear what you're saying. But then again, there are those people who maybe crave the little bit more of an aggressive kind of, method. You need to change. Hey, listen, I've had, I know that, my wife's a physician. She's been with physicians, cancer physicians who have basically said to their patients, listen, if you don't change your ways, you're going to die. Or something that's really, really hard hitting. And I wonder, there's a segment of the population that either may need that or craves it, or how do you get around that where that can be kind of an uncomfortable situation?
As far as with technology, you mean?
Well,
or
no, not really technology, but just in terms of addressing somebody's willingness to change.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, and I think a big part of this is remembering that there's no cookie cutter approach to working with human beings. Mm-hmm. And I have to remind myself that all the time. And if cognitive behavioral therapy is my modality of choice, and that's what I do, then that becomes my hammer, and everybody's a nail. And that's a dangerous road to go down.
Right.
And there are absolutely those of us who need this very direct, here's what you need to do. Okay, that's fantastic. And I think, being able to adapt and we're never supposed to say, what's your therapeutic approach? Well, I'm eclectic. You're not, that's frowned upon apparently.
Right.
But I think in reality you sort of have to be, and you have to pull and meet people where they're at and be adaptable.
Well, what type of person are you then when you like to be told straight up the way it is? Because, I could speak for myself. I don't like people being around the bush, Right. I've had coaches and trainers and cornermen say, you're blowing it, kid. If you don't step it up now and throw some punches, you're going to lose. I kind of need to hear that outside approach. Is that a certain type of person that needs that versus someone that doesn't like to confront the reality?
I think again, that might be a whole nother show, is talking about personality types. I think direct communication is really critical, and I need when I'm working with clients, I need to keep in mind, though, that the direct approach needs to be helping them get where they want to go. Mm-hmm. Because if it's where, I know how to get from point A to point B, that's, we're wellness professionals, that's our expertise, right? We can see, this person needs to do this to get here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, me telling them that doesn't do a whole lot of good. At least the research would say that if they're invested and they make those conclusions themselves and they develop their own goals collaboratively, they're going to be a lot more invested.
Right.
Rather than having me just say, here's what you need to do, here's the goals we've got for you.
Right. It needs to be kind of a hand-in-hand situation. They need to own it. They need to be part of it, part of the sort of the solution of their own behavior change. But then again, you have the tools, right? And like you said, as an expert, you have the tools getting them to point A to point, from point A to point B, but they need to be invested in that in order for it to work, obviously, because if not, then it's going to be futile.
Absolutely. Yep.
So, I know that you've done a lot of research, and when we come back, I'd really like to hear, and I'd like our listeners to hear what kind of research you're doing in the wellness space and especially the solution-focused brief therapy and mental health. I think that would be really interesting. So we're speaking with Dr. James Buchman, and we're talking about behavior change. And if you want to join in on the conversation, give us a call at 602-277-5369 or 1-866-536-1100. And I'm Dr. David Spear, along with my co-host, Dr. Scott Weiss, and we'll be back with the Wellness Roundtable radio show in just a moment.
You won't get anywhere else. Independent Talk 1100 KFNX. Fair and balanced. Independent Talk 1100 KFNX.
Bomb-making components have been removed from the residence of the man suspected of setting off a number of bombs in the Austin area. ATF Special Agent in Charge, Fred Milanowski, says one of the rooms in the home of Mark Condit was filled with these parts.
We've talked about the bomb maker and his signature and how we were able to tell that the same individual manufactured all these devices. There is componentry in there that makes us believe, have a high degree of certainty, that it is the same components that we have found in all the other devices.
As police moved in on him earlier today, Condit blew himself up. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg admitted mistakes and outlined steps to protect user data in light of privacy scandal involving a Trump-connected data mining firm. President Trump defended his decision to congratulate Russian President Putin on his re-election, and he's still fuming over a leak of briefing materials for the call that warned him against doing that. I'm Barbara Cusack.
Arizona News Radio. Some buildings in downtown Globe evacuated, an historic building being renovated. They found some old chemicals inside.
The acid dates back roughly 50 years. When it was used by a local pharmacy.
Phoenix police need help finding whoever shot and killed a pit bull last week.
The fact that somebody would take an innocent animal and harm them intentionally, or what we believe is intentionally, that's hard to get your head around.
Protests at the state capitol by teachers in the Glendale School District. The question, will they eventually go out on strike?
Yeah, definitely will.
I don't want to speculate. I really don't know. At this point, we're not leaning that direction.
Most definitely.
Phoenix firefighters went to a home. Second time they had to extinguish flames today.
It's a vacant home. It has fencing around it. Looks like, to me, and this is just my guess, it looks like it's been a vacant home for some time.
George Tanner, Arizona News.
It's time for your 1100 KFNX traffic update, brought to you by UA Online. There's stop-and-go traffic in Phoenix on the Loop 202 westbound between 32nd Street and the 51. In Mesa, there's a disabled bus blocking the HOV lane on the 202 southbound at Power Road. A brighter future is just a few clicks away with UA Online, the University of Arizona's new digital campus. Classes start every 7.5 weeks. Visit uaonline.arizona.edu.
From the KFNX WeatherBug Weather Center, as we head into the evening under mostly cloudy skies, the low tonight 62. Thursday, mostly cloudy and breezy, high near 91. Cloudy Thursday night, a chance of showers, overnight low 64. I'm Scott Allen Fortney from the KFNX WeatherBug Weather Center.
Currently in downtown Phoenix, it's 81 degrees.
Next news in 30 minutes or when it breaks, here on Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX.
Don't sacrifice comfort for style, especially when it comes to your feet. Try on a pair of Atrex shoes today. Atrex shoes feature built-in orthotic support that can help with balance, alignment, and injury prevention. Plus, ultra-soft memory foam cushioning to keep you feeling great on your feet all day long. Visit Atrex.com, AETREX.com, and check out the selection of stylish boots, shoes, and sandals today.
We are all aware the digital age has swiftly come upon us, and staying on top of our health has become more mainstream than ever before. But what if there was a way to combine the two? Finally, we can. WellnessRoundtable.com is an online video healthcare site that allows consumers the opportunity to speak to the health experts they want to and on their own time. Simply pick an expert, pick a time, and book the roundtable. It's as easy as that. Visit Wellness Roundtable at wellnessroundtable.com. Again, that's wellnessroundtable.com.
I'm Francis Battaglia, president of Independent Talk 1100 KFNX, and we're expanding our lineup of local talk shows. We're looking for individuals, business owners, and professionals to host their own radio talk show. This would be a new weekly show that either you pay for or help get sponsors to fund your show. You would pick the topic, select guests, and take calls from the listening audience. There is no experience necessary, and we provide training. Call me at 602-277-1100, extension 1463, 602-277-1100, extension 1463.
Hey everyone, this is Ken Beckrick, owner of Online Trading Academy Phoenix. One of my students recently told me that Online Trading Academy is the best kept secret in the Valley. Well, let me tell you, if you're a business owner, the last thing you want is for your business to be a secret in the community it serves, even if it is the best one. So I'm offering a series of complimentary workshops to get the word out. The workshop will benefit beginners who want to generate monthly income trading the financial markets. Additionally, it'll benefit those who have no interest in trading but want to manage their long-term retirement accounts. And if you're an experienced trader who's struggling to generate consistent profits, this workshop's for you too. Admission is free for those who call 8448-INCOME right now. That's 844-846-2663. When you attend, you'll also receive 5 of our most popular home study courses absolutely free. Call 8448-INCOME now. Seating is limited. Call 844-846-2663 today.
Atrix is one of the fastest growing companies in the footwear industry and is widely recognized as a global leader in comfort and wellness footwear products. The Atrix mission is to create the healthiest shoe on the market today. With fashion, function, and quality at the forefront, Atrix designs and manufactures most types of footwear for both men and women. All styles are crafted with care to meet the highest standards in design, incorporate cutting-edge technologies, and offer unmatched customization and adjustability. To learn how Atrix can help you with your feet, go to AETREX.com. That's Atrix.com.
Welcome back to the Wellness Roundtable radio show. We're speaking with Dr. James Bocheman, a licensed clinical social worker and certified health coach, and we're talking about behavior change. And give us a call if you'd like to join in, 602-277-5369, or toll free at 1-866-536-1100. So, Dr. Bocheman, we were talking about how to kind of individualize behavior change methodology, right, based on what a client presents or what a person presents to you, and sort of meet them where they're at and work with them toward their goals. What kind of, and I know you've been doing a lot of, interesting research, so what kind of wellness-related or behavior change research are you now involved in to sort of address those concerns?
So I'll try and give you the nutshell version.
Sure.
This is one of those instances where I could certainly get on a soapbox and go off, but I'll try and rein myself in.
You are on the radio, so you do, you do have the medium. But go ahead.
I'm really interested in wellness promotion, right? This whole idea of salutogenesis, which is one of those pretentious academic words, which basically means helping people move towards wellness rather than away from illness. you know, and in this traditional medical model that we're in here in the Western world, you know, we're real good at treating someone. If you're ill, here's a pill or here's a Band-Aid. And I'm not saying that, you know, Band-Aids are very important. so that's useful. And when it comes to prevention and wellness promotion, we're a little bit behind the curve. In fact, you know, some of the things that I've heard that have just frightened me, you know, this is the first time in history that our children are not expected to outlive us.
Right.
Which is incredibly scary, you know, and related to lifestyle and wellness. And I know that last year we spent over $3 trillion on healthcare expenditures, less than 1% of which was devoted to prevention. So it hasn't been a big priority. And so I'm interested in figuring out ways, practical ways, to make that accessible to people, you know, to make wellness accessible. So some of the things that I've been doing recently is this sort of solution-focused wellness model, like integrating the solution-focused coaching we were talking about earlier with multidimensional wellness. And by multidimensional, I mean looking at wellness as not simply well or not well, but looking at physical, emotional wellness, spiritual wellness, intellectual wellness, social wellness, all of these different components, which could mean a variety of different things for different people, and helping people to figure out their optimal states in those different domains, and then, you know, helping them move towards that wellness. And it's funny because one of the things that I'm working on right now is, following our conversation earlier about technology, is doing a web-based wellness intervention. So I just created this module on social wellness for college students. And because honestly, I believe that, you know, this is, number one, this is the world we're living in.
Right.
But I do think you can make real change in brief interactions and brief web-based interactions, which, to be quite honest and to shamelessly plug, I think that's what's amazing about this Wellness Roundtable. I think that this is a really effective model for the world we're living in now, and that's the stuff I'm interested in pursuing, you know, finding out a little bit deeper about, is this truly, you know, the things that I'm doing, are they really effective? And so far, so good.
You know, one of the things that I think is that the technology will get to a greater mass of people, but my gut instinct is that, yes, you might be able to get to a greater mass, but it might take away a little bit, meaning there's a slight inverse relationship. As you gain more mass, you know, popularity, maybe the interaction on one-on-one kind of depletes slightly.
I think you're right. But data is definitely positive in that respect, in that there are people, even older people, who are now feeling more comfortable online than they ever have before. In terms of using, you know, telehealth mediums, using platforms like Wellness Roundtable. So I do agree with you that you lose the sort of that human touch aspect of a relationship or of a connection or some kind of, you know, of communication. But what you're gaining is you're gaining convenience, you're gaining ease, and you're still getting the same information. You're just not getting it sort of in the same environment. But there are a lot of but there are a lot of people who are feeling more comfortable going online and getting, you know, their advice there. Listen, people go online to look up stuff all the time. You know, now they can go online and actually talk to somebody and interact with somebody.
And I think that's what's good, is that the interaction kind of needs to not only be text-based.
Right.
The ability to, you know, have video and to see the expression, like Dr. Boschman was saying, to be able to see what the person is looking like, and, you know, all that is so vital.
Yes, I agree.
You know, I totally agree with you, and I'm really just curious, to be honest with you, about where this goes, because, you know, I'm old and out of touch, and I'll admit that. You know, I'm struggling to keep up with technology, but, you know, I'm also wondering if since this is the world we're living in that's constantly changing and advancing technologically, will people's learning styles evolve with that? You know, we're used to this face-to-face interaction, and that's the world I'm used to.
Right.
But, the millennials maybe that's different. Maybe that is something that can evolve and still be, even more effective. Who knows?
Well, I think
that's a great point.
Yeah, it is, and I think we can speak to that in some respect, right? If you look at the institution of education, as you mentioned at the beginning of the show, it's completely changed. It's turned on its head. I mean, at this point, many graduate programs are online, and people are sitting in their living rooms and, sitting on their couches, and they're taking courses. I think that, the larger institutions, as they start to change, I think the masses are going to go with it. And as I was speaking with Scott earlier today, I feel like even though telehealth, if you want to, say as a business is quite successful, there are still a lot of people who don't know about it. It's not something that is pervasive. So I feel like we're kind of on the front of a very big wave, but the wave hasn't caught us yet. And there are going to be, other advances, obviously, in technology, whether that's, artificial intelligence or other types of technologies that can be integrated into what we're talking about in terms of behavior change. But I feel like there is going to be a tipping point. There's going to be a point where people say, wow, I can get this kind of information this way. Okay, I'm going to try it. And obviously if it's successful the first or the second time, then people adopt it. It's the same thing with any kind of business, right? There's always early adopters, and then there's a tipping point where everybody sort of follows that lead. We're not there yet. I just don't think we're there yet. And I'm happy to be sort of in front of the wave. I just hope at some point the wave catches us. So we're going to break for our fourth, believe it or not, we're coming up to our fourth segment. But what I'd like to ask you a little bit about is the epidemic of obesity and inactivity, and how that sort of, how it relates to behavior change from your perspective, and maybe what are some solutions that you might see taking place to really significantly affect it. I know there's many programs out there, but I'd like to hear from you what your thoughts are on it and how it can be affected in a significant way. We'll be right back with the Wellness Roundtable radio show.
Do you suffer from foot pain? Let Atrex help alleviate some of that pain with a pair of Atrex orthotics. Millions of pairs have been sold to those in need of fast relief from foot pain. Atrex offers a wide selection of orthotics designed for each arch type and footwear style. Visit Atrex.com. That's AETREX.com and get your pair today. Again, that's AETREX.com.
Don't we all have questions about our health, fitness, or even injuries? Now there's a place to go, and it's online at wellnessroundtable.com. Wellnessroundtable.com is an online interactive video platform that allows the best experts in the world to share their knowledge with you. Through creating a roundtable or attending a lecture, you are bound to realize the value of having evidence-based information live and in the comfort of your own home. Check them out at wellnessroundtable.com and get some real answers. Use the promo code 1100 to get a 20% discount.
Hi, this is Jim Clark, CEO of Republic Monetary Exchange. You've heard me say for years that we offer the most competitive prices around for all gold and silver coins and bullion. But did you know that when selling, we also pay the most, even if you didn't buy from us? So whether buying or selling, check us out. Republic Monetary Exchange, located in the Arcadia area on Camelback, just east of 40th Street, or call 602-682-GOLD. That's 602-682-GOLD, or online, rmegold.com.
I'm Francis Battaglia, president of Independent Talk 1100 KFNX, and we're expanding our lineup of local talk shows. We're looking for individuals, business owners, and professionals to host their own radio talk show. This would be a new weekly show that either you pay for or help get sponsors to fund your show. You would pick the topics, select guests, and take calls from the listening audience. There is no experience necessary, and we provide training. Call me at 602-277-1100, extension 1463, 602-277-1100, extension 1463.
I feel like having some church up in here. Victoria's Bible Study, discussing living to your full potential in all aspects of life, including family, personal, financial, and relationships. With your host, Clancy Siganoff, every Monday night at 9 p.m. here on KFNX. Victoria's Bible Study, discussing living to your full potential in all aspects of life, including family, personal, financial, and relationships. With your host, Clancy Siganoff, every Monday night at 9 p.m. here on KFNX.
Atrix is one of the fastest growing companies in the footwear industry and is widely recognized as a global leader in comfort and wellness footwear products. The Atrix mission is to create the healthiest shoe on the market today. With fashion, function, and quality at the forefront, Atrix designs and manufactures most types of footwear for both men and women. All styles are crafted with care to meet the highest standards in design, incorporate cutting-edge technologies, and offer unmatched customization and adjustability. To learn how Atrix can help you with your feet, go to aetrex.com. That's atrix.com.
Welcome back to the Wellness Roundtable radio show. We're speaking with Dr. James Bocheman, licensed clinical social worker and certified health coach, and a professor at Boise State University. So I'm really curious to hear what your thoughts are on how do we impact the epidemic of obesity and inactivity. And as I know, there are several programs out there, and there are people who participate. But if you look at the data, we still have a 60% overweight and obese population in this country, and we have a large percentage of people who are inactive, right? And, you know, if you were to say, how do we change the behavior? Move more, eat less. It's simple. You know, I've heard people say that. That's not where it's at. And what we're talking about is affecting individuals, right? Everybody's an individual, so you have to meet them where they are. But then how do you significantly impact a society that just doesn't seem to be sort of following that lead?
Yeah, that is a really great question. And if I had the short answer, you know, we might still be talking, but I think I'd be on my yacht right now if I had that answer. Realistically, you know, I think you're right. We're sort of making change, you know, at the micro level when it really needs to be at the micro, meso, and macro level,
right?
You know, collectively. So, you know, and going back to the fact that, you know, 1% of the $3 trillion we spent is devoted to prevention is a problem, you know, and we are really mired in that Western medical model of like, let's treat what's wrong rather than helping people access what's right.
Absolutely.
You know, and move towards what's right. You know, I do think that it's happening slowly, and there are increasing, you know, educational programs, and certainly early intervention is where it's at, right? We know that lifestyle trends that get established earlier in life are more likely to stick. So I do think early intervention is where it's at. I think things are slowly changing. The CDC has prioritized, you know, these different groups, one being older adults, one being healthcare professionals, getting them training on wellness promotion, and then the third being children and adolescents. You know, so I think it's being acknowledged. I just don't think it's got the push behind it enough to make the huge change that needs to happen. I think it's a slow moving train.
So you mentioned something really interesting, you know, in terms of there are changes that are happening at the legislative level. There are changes that are happening. I think, you know, Michelle Obama did a tremendous amount for children in terms of activity and eating right. And, of course, we changed, you know, My Food Plate, and we changed sort of our nutritional guidelines a little bit. Do you feel it's the industry's level of power that is somewhat an obstacle to getting this out to the masses? What I'm saying is that you have industries like the food industry that is extremely powerful and has a lot of deep pockets, and what they put out, a lot of Americans eat, right? You have the fast food industry, you have, you know, the food industry that's basically run by, like, you know, 5 major or 6 major companies. Is that the problem? Because it doesn't seem to be like it doesn't seem to be an issue when it comes to exercise and activity. It's not like you have 5 major companies that do all the exercise, because exercise is individual, but we need to eat. So the food that we get is coming from kind of a small faction of companies. And I just wonder what your thoughts are and if that is really what is stopping us from getting there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably likely a big part of this. And it's a cultural thing, right? You know, we're in this culture of, you know, fast food, you know, drive-through fast food and 6-minute ads. You know,
yes.
Everybody wants everything quickly.
Yes.
And generally speaking, that drive-through fast food is not the healthiest option.
Right.
So I think it's the culture and it's this busyness and everyone's on the go and we're all connected all the time, and multitasking is something that's now valued, you know.
Yes.
You know, and it's incredibly unhealthy for you to be doing this. But it's, you know, people ask it in interviews, like, can you multitask? It's something that's really valued now. So I feel like there's so much culturally that's happening right now that we're fighting against. It feels like we're bringing a knife to a gunfight.
Right.
And I feel like there's all, like you're right, there's all of these factors there and stakeholders who have a lot of power and a lot of money and a lot of investment.
Right.
And maybe some different priorities than we're talking about.
Right. Yeah.
And Dave, another 2 cents is kind of the socioeconomic class of people.
Yeah.
I mean, I like being, you know, here in New York, I hear so many people saying, you know, it's easy to go feed a family for $10 to $20 than it is for $100. So, you know, people are going to not only these fast food places because it is quick and effective, and that's our culture. It's because that's what they can afford, unfortunately, right now.
Right. It's it's cheap because of the way it's subsidized and because of the product, right? It's a cheap product to make. So
absolutely, I feel like this is a social justice issue on many levels. You know, and what people have access to, and you know, everybody would probably love to eat organic food, but go to Whole Foods and you know, ring up your $500 bill for you know, and it's just not realistic for the majority of this country.
Let me ask you the $64,000 question. You can see I dated myself. $64,000. This should be like $1.5 million. But my question is, if everything were to change tomorrow, so now you've got access to good food, you've got access to everybody's got a personal trainer, everybody's got unlimited health care, everybody's got everything they need in order to sort of reach the goal of being a 10 in terms of wellness. Do things change?
Would things change?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. You know, maybe I'm a foolish optimist, but I think so. I really believe that people want to change, and a lot of times just don't have access to the tools to change. And I think if those things are in place and you've got people who are trained in behavior change, I absolutely think that would change.
I agree. Access.
Yeah. Well, and along with access and the ease and the convenience, you know, comes the sort of being connected all the time. Like, it's almost like a vicious cycle, right? You know, I mean, you can have access, but the access that you have may be through the web, or it may be because you're connected all the time. So now connecting all the time is unhealthy, but you still need the access. So how do you get, you know what I mean? How do you get that access? So
I mean, it's always a balance, Dave. I think
Absolutely.
It's always a balance, but the ability to have the access to get the foods you want, to get the treatment you need, I think that is very, very important. And we know so many people in different areas just don't have that quick and easy access.
Yeah. And you know, I mean, it's not something that we can answer now, but I would like to think that we've gotten to a point now in this country specifically, where, you know, wellness has become, obviously it's a catch-all phrase and it means a lot of things to a lot of people, but wellness is now starting to permeate the sort of the fabric of society. People are starting to understand what it really is, even though there's like the hokey side of wellness, which could be, you know, like one part of the spectrum. And then there's the, you know, the other side of wellness, which is a little bit more serious, if you want to call it that. And then there's the middle ground. But I think people are starting to identify with wellness and understanding the significant impact it can have on their lives, on their families' lives, and on society as a whole. So I'm hoping as a as an optimist, that we've hit the point where it's sort of rock bottom. At this point, we can only get better. It's not like we're going to get worse before we get better. And I'm curious to hear your last thoughts on that.
Well, I agree with you 100%. And to be perfectly honest with you, David, the fact that we are having this conversation right now gives me reason to be optimistic. You know, this is something that is getting talked about. We're raising consciousness and awareness, and hopefully people are listening in, and conversations like this are starting to happen all over the place. And to me, that's really exciting. And it's exciting to be in front of that wave because I think it's happening. I think the train is moving, and people are going to hop on.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we were talking about before in terms of being in front of that wave, right? So the wave is cresting, and we're just hoping to sort of catch it at the right time. So I wanted to thank you for your time, Dr. Bocherman. This was really illuminating, wonderful conversation on behavior change. We'd love to have you on again.
That would be wonderful.
So thanks so much for joining us for the Wellness Roundtable radio show this Wednesday. We'll be back next week. I'm Dr. David Spear, along with my co-host, Dr. Scott Weiss, in snowy New York. And we'll check you out next week when we'll be talking about how to appropriately spring into fitness. Thanks so much. See you soon.
You've been listening to the Wellness Roundtable radio show right here on Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX. Tune in next week for more from the experts on the Wellness Roundtable radio show.
We are all aware the digital age has swiftly come upon us, and staying on top of our health has become more mainstream than ever before. But what if there was a way to combine the two? Finally, we can. WellnessRoundtable.com is an online video healthcare site that allows consumers the opportunity to speak to the health experts they want to and on their own time. Simply pick an expert, pick a time, and book the roundtable. It's as easy as that. Visit Wellness Roundtable at wellnessroundtable.com. Again, that's wellnessroundtable.com.
Atrix is one of the fastest growing companies in the footwear industry and is widely recognized as a global leader in comfort and wellness footwear products. The Atrix mission is to create the healthiest shoe on the market today. With fashion, function, and quality at the forefront, Atrix designs and manufactures most types of footwear for both men and women. All styles are crafted with care to meet the highest standards in design, incorporate cutting-edge technologies, and offer unmatched customization and adjustability. To learn how Atrix can help you with your feet, go to AETREX.com. That's Atrix.com.
You're listening to Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX, Cave Creek, Phoenix, a division of Premier Radio Stations.